Hey guys, it's Manga and today what I'll be doing is I'll be doing a summary of Elbaf, and I want to get into why it was so important going forward. Because what happened is that from before we had the 2 year time skip, we had known about Elbaf through the various giants that we've met, and we've known that it was going to be in the new world once we learned about the new world. And we were also aware that they are a powerful race. But given the recent events, we've been given a few more information about it, most notably from the Big Mom flashback and the idea that her daughter was supposed to get married to the Prince of the Giants. So let's get right into it. Well, the very first thing that we need to look at is that the giants and the humans don't seem to have some sort of peace pact going on. Not at the time that we knew about Mother Carmel, who saved those giants from the giant pirates. And remember that the giant pirates are from Dory and Broggy's crew from way back. And it's said that you can scarcely ever mention the giant race without mentioning the giant pirates because they're such a legendary status. And that's important for us going forward because then we know that giants themselves aren't actually saints. And this is important too because if you look at the dialogue between giants, especially when Lin killed Lord Montbeard, no, Lord Fallbeard, you can realize that they're a race of honor. And even though we met Dory and Broggy, the very predicate that their fight was based on was one of honor among warriors, right? Because they decided that they were going to battle every day at a certain time, rain or shine, healthy or sick, for the sake of their pride. And this isn't some petty pride where you go out and someone steps on your toe, doesn't say sorry, you start a fight and get shot and get killed. No, this was a pride for your strength, your honor as a giant, your honor as a pirate. And this is something that I've come to really respect them for. Now, looking at Lord Fallbeard, and his name is actually Yorl Fallbeard, he was 344 years old when Lin was 5, and Lord Montbeard was 345 years old. If we add the 60 years, because I think Oda had confirmed recently that Lin was something like 66 years old, if we add the 66 years that Lin is onto Lord Yorl Fallbeard and Montbeard, they're somewhere near 400 years old. It's a bit over 400 actually, 404, 405 depending on the months and so on. And once you get to the number of 400, what comes to mind? That's right, the Void Century. Now, I am adamant that Lord Fallbeard, when he died, he wasn't the actual oldest giant. He said that he was one of the oldest warriors because he said, Lord Montbeard said that he was fighting with Fallbeard for 300 years. 300 years. And I want you to take a step back and think about this. Fallbeard was 344 years old at the time. So since he was 44 years old, he was fighting alongside Montbeard. And we met a young Hyrule in the same flashback, right? And given that Big Mom is actually 66 years old, give or take a year or two or some months, depending on how the months are on the calendar. We won't get technical right now. We know that giants become an adult much around the same time that humans do, probably around their 20th, 25th birthday, thereabouts. But giants themselves are rumored, given by older statistics, to have a span of 300 years themselves. That's their lifespan. And just as with human, if a human is said to have a lifespan of 50 years, you will have someone dying at age 30 and it's pretty natural. And you'll have someone, on the other hand, living to say about 65 or even 70 years, give or take, genetics and health and eating habits, exercising, all that stuff. So what I'm assuming is that there's someone in Elbaf that knows exactly what happened during the Void Century. And this is for two reasons. One, and most likely, that person lived through the Void Century. This person was there to witness what happened during the Void Century. And I'm guessing that this is also the reason why there's some sort of a strife between the giants and the humans back then. because what happened was that the Marines themselves tried to silence the giants and couldn't silence them because giants are really powerful. We've met a few giants and they weren't as impressive as you would thought a giant would be because a giant is supposed to be one giant is supposed to be on average 1,000 times stronger than a human based on One Piece statistics. And we've met humans that have one-shot giants. Yonko Whitebeard, Luffy in the Marineford War. So it's not like they're invincible. But look at it from this perspective. Is there an army that we know about to this date in One Piece? And yes, you guys can mention the Kaidos, the Marines, the CPs, the Cypher Poles, that is, the Yonkos, and perhaps the Pirate King himself. That's the only crew I actually give a chance for some extent. But is there an army that we know can beat an army of giants? And given that back in the day the giants were really fighting for their pride, I think that they're not a race that would actually have people loaming around and being idle and letting their strength go to waste. No, from what we see, they're a very violent nation. I mean, it was even rumored that they ate humans at one point. And that's what really sparked Usopp's confidence in them because remember, Usopp left to become a brave warrior of the sea, and having met Dorian Broggy, he decided that, you know what, one day I want to go to Elbaf and I want to become a brave warrior just like you guys. So, giant scrub out of the picture. So there was no way that the army, any army at all that stand for the world government and the Marines by extension, could have silenced that giant. And by age and the setup of their society, because we can see that society is based on respect for elders and so on, I can see that giant was also an important figure. The other reason why I think that there's a giant that actually knows what happened during the Void Century is that given the lifespan of the giant, 300 years, and we've seen that giants live to 345 years max. That's Mount Beard. That's the actual information we have to this point. What I can assume is that just as how you have never met your grandparents, because not everyone has met their grandparents, but you still know about them, no? And you still know things that they've gone through by means of your parents. And it's not a necessity that having been bred to become a warrior, that your parents won't spend time with you and your parents won't grow you. No, I think that it's also important to know that the Prince Loki himself, he was born a prince. So certain status in the giant society of Elbaf is hereditary. So given that it's hereditary, it's only fair that the king of Elbaf at that time, I don't know his name, we were given 3 names actually. Rolled, Gold, and Balg. You can go back to chapter 866 and you can read and you'll find those 3 names. I'm guessing that Rolled, Gold, and Balg are actually brothers and sisters of Loki. And if not, they're very important officers in the army of Elbaf. But anyway, what I'm saying is that given that Loki was born a prince, the only person that I would see fit to train him to become a king is the current king himself and his father. We don't know his name as yet, or maybe we do, but I won't dwell on that for too long. The idea is that someone in a giant race knows about the Void Century. And remember, when we met Dory and Broggy, they had one of the craziest bounties we've ever seen to that point. At that time, Luffy's bounty, he did not have a bounty, did he? Yes, he did. He had a 30 million berry bounty. And at that time, Dory and Broggy's bounty was somewhere near 100 million, both of them. It was crazy. That's why the number agents were after them. And what I'm saying is that, in summary, with regards to the giant nation and their connections with humans, I don't think that they have a very healthy relationship with humans back then. Because remember that we had some giants who were to be executed, and Mother Carmel swooped in and saved them. And she did use the devil fruit power that Big Mom has to create a storm, and then the light shined on her like she was a saint and everything. It was all a ruse, because as she herself even confessed that John Giant, that was one-shotted by the one and only Whitebeard himself, is only in the Marines because of her. So, there's been some plot and twist going on around there from back then. But the thing is, the giants and the humans never had a healthy relationship. Because, in that very same dialogue, Mother Carmel said to the giants, well, not the giants, to the people who are about to execute the giants, that, can't you see? if you execute them now, then the giants will rekindle. The key word here, rekindle, that means rekindle, they will build back their flame of anger against humans and they will take up their arms. I'm guessing that the giants have the power to destroy the world. And that leads to another really important concept. Ancient weapons. There are three ancient weapons and we've learned of two. It's been speculated that Momonosuke is the actual last ancient weapon. Uranus, is it, that we've been looking for? I don't think so. Yes, it's nice that Momonosuke could be an ancient weapon, but why it's not that I think he could be is because even though he was able to speak to Zunisha and he was able to command Zunisha, that's just a hereditary trait the way I see it. Given the explanation that Zunisha had with the crime that he committed and everything, that's just an hereditary trait. And the idea that you can listen to the voice of Zunisha, Luffy was able to do it too. Luffy is no ancient weapon. And the reason why Luffy was able to hear the voice of Zunisha, and the Sea Kings by extent, is because he can hear the voice of all things. So I don't think that Momonosuke is the next ancient weapon. And it would have been a bit too soon, given that we have recently left the Fishman Island, to have gotten another ancient weapon so soon. Because we know by confirmation of Robin and Neptune that Poseidon is actually Shirahoshi. So the giants themselves are the most powerful army because they're not just because they're giants. Being giants themselves, that's a hell of a boost because I don't know of anyone who can take out even an army of scrub giants. You'd have to be able to one-shot all of them while holding their stamina for days because giants are that powerful. But even so, I think they're in possession of that last ancient weapon. And if they're not in possession of that last ancient weapon, Uranus, whatever Uranus is, because remember, we don't know. We just know that ancient weapons have the power to destroy the world. We can see that with Poseidon and the Sea Kings. Most of One Piece's world is covered by water. And given that Sea Kings are the most powerful forces in the water, it's fair to say that they can destroy the world just by being in control of the water. And the next thing that we have to look at, we have sea, land, and air. When we learned about that second ancient, well, the first ancient weapon we learned about was actually in the Sand City. And it's been speculated that each ancient weapon controls one of the domains of land, sea, and air. I won't dwell on Alabaster too much and its ancient weapon. I'll just get straight back to Elbaf because that's what this video is about, no? So I'm thinking that the ancient weapon in Elbaf has connections to do with the sky. And the reason is, if you look back at the very first panel we got of Elbaf, in the background, and that's chapter 865, because I've been looking over my chapters and everything. Chapter 865, when Lin was left at Elbaf, there's a very tall structure in the background. There's a lot of hills and everything. And in the background of those hills, there's a structure. It's kind of vague, and I'm assuming that's a beanstalk based on what I've heard. This is not my theory. They say it might be a beanstalk. I'm thinking that yes, it might be a beanstalk. And I'll build on that. The importance of this beanstalk is to lead to the upper portion of Elbaf. That's where the actual powerful giants live. So yes, Linen was able to take out a few giants, and yes, he destroyed part of Elbaf, just a part, because, you know, even Carmen herself confirmed that it wasn't all of Elbaf that was destroyed. I'm thinking that was just the entrance to Elbaf, and the lesser giants live there. I think it's also a society based on status. The Prince Loki himself and the three names we got, Roll, Gold, and Balg, the king, the queen, and the royal army themselves, I think they live in the upper section, and that's where we can find the third ancient weapon. And if they don't have the third ancient weapon, people, they have used the third ancient weapon at some point in the past, which have earned their respect from the humans, and not just respect, fear from the humans and the world government. Because remember, we have 5 elder stars known as the Gorosei in the world government, and I think that they're very important when it comes to the very history of the whole One Piece world. I think they have something huge to do with it. Not that they're quote unquote superhuman or they can't die or whatever. No, I think that they actually have some really, really important information, if not ties to the actual fate of the world from in the past. So I'm thinking that that's where it is, and it might not necessarily be an ancient weapon that can destroy the sky, because that doesn't make much of sense, because there are only so many characters that can use the sky to their advantage. I'm thinking that because it's so high up, giants themselves are tall, right? And given that the beanstalk seems to be some 10,000 meters going into the sky, from what we could see from that panel, I'm just assuming. I think the way this ancient weapon works is that it can call down brimstone and stuff like that. It can destroy the earth from above. And it's a bit vague because we haven't gotten any information on ancient weapons to this stage. But I think it's a very solid theory based on what we've seen, what we've heard, and what we know. I think we can cling to this. I will cling to this until I've been given more information. Right, guys? So, you know what? I want to hear your thoughts on this. Like the video if you did, comment and subscribe for more. And as usual, guys, I'll have more information out for you very soon. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.